Jamaican Jerk Chicken. A dish older than the country it is cooked in. From Boston Bay, on the windward coast of Portland, Jamaica, where fire and green pimento wood have been turning meat into smoke and memory for more than 300 years. Most of what the world calls jerk is a bottle, a sauce, a shortcut. But jerk was never a sauce. It is a method, and the method takes its time. 3 whole Scotch bonnet peppers, allspice berries, cracked while the oils are still bright. A night in the cold, then 2 hours of low smoke. You cannot hurry this. That is the entire point. Servings 6. 45 minutes of preparation. 2 hours of cooking. Total time 2 hours and 45 minutes. 3 pounds of chicken thighs. 3 whole Scotch bonnet peppers. 2 tablespoons of pimento allspice berries. 1 ounce of fresh thyme. 2 ounces of ginger. 1½ cups of scallion. 1/2 cup of coconut aminos. 2 whole limes, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Begin with the berries. 2 tablespoons of pimento allspice, dropped into the grinder whole. Listen. That sound is the whole dish arriving at once. Clove and cinnamon and pepper and something green underneath them all. This is why the berries are ground now and not last week. The oils are volatile. They leave. Everything that makes jerk taste like jerk is in the first 30 seconds after the shell breaks. Now the living things. 1½ cups of scallion, trimmed and roughly cut. 2 ounces of ginger. 1 ounce of fresh thyme, pulled from the stem. And 3 whole Scotch bonnet peppers. Not habanero, not cayenne. Scotch bonnet, squat and wrinkled, and the color of a lantern. It carries a fruit sweetness underneath the heat that nothing else can stand in for. Everything goes into the blender together. The ground pimento, the scallion, the ginger, the thyme, the peppers, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of coconut aminos, and the juice of 2 whole limes. Blend it until it turns. What you are looking for is not a sauce. It is a paste. Thick and dark green going on black. Heavy enough to sit on the back of a spoon and stay there. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That is all it needs. 3 pounds of chicken thighs. Take the paste in your hands and work it into the meat, into every fold, under every edge of skin. Do not be gentle about the coverage. Be gentle about the time. Then cover it and put it into the cold and walk away until tomorrow. Overnight is not a suggestion. The salt and the lime need those hours to move inward. Nothing you do in the morning can replace them. Morning. Build the fire low. 225 degrees Fahrenheit, no higher. And if you can find it, lay pimento wood across the coals. The same tree that gives the berries gives the smoke. Leaf and branch and berry, all from the allspice tree. It grows wild in Jamaica, and it has never been persuaded to grow well anywhere else. Then 2 hours. The chicken sits in the smoke and does almost nothing, slowly. The paste darkens and tightens against the skin until it becomes a crust, almost black, faintly cracked, smelling of clove and wood smoke and burnt sugar. When you finally lift a piece, the meat underneath is pale and wet and pulls away from the bone without argument. That is the whole trick. 2 hours, low fire. History and cultural origins. Long before Jamaica carried that name, the island was called Zimaca, land of wood and water, by the Tino, an Arawak people who had lived there for centuries. They cooked meat slowly, over green wood, in pits dug into the ground and lined with leaves. The smoke did 2 things at once. It flavored the meat, and it kept the meat. In a place with no winter, that second thing was survival. The word itself traveled. Charqui, from the Quechua of the Andes, meant meat cut into strips and dried. Spanish ships carried the word north into the Caribbean. English speakers heard it and shortened it, and it split into 2 words in 2 places. Jerky in the north, and jerk here. 4 languages have handled that one syllable. Not one of them ever stopped meaning fire and smoke and keeping. Then, 1655, the English took the island from the Spanish, and in the confusion, the people the Spanish had enslaved went up into the Blue Mountains, into forest the colonists could not hold. They were called Cimarrones, the mountain ones. In English, that became Maroons. Up there, Taino knowledge and West African knowledge met, and jerk stopped being only a way to cook. Because the pit was also a hiding place. Smoke rises and gives you away. So they cooked low and slow and underground and let the earth take the smoke. Everything that makes this dish taste the way it tastes The low fire, the long hours, the pit began as a way not to be found. Today, at Boston Bay, the same coast where jerk was first sold to strangers, the pits are still open, and the smoke is no longer hiding from anyone. Serve it the way Boston Bay serves it. Cut across the bone with a cleaver into pieces that do not match. Hard dough bread to carry the heat. A wedge of lime. Nothing on the plate that needs a fork. Jamaican Jerk Chicken is the rarest kind of recipe. One that has survived conquest and flight and 300 years of people trying to sell it in a bottle. It survives because it was never trying to be impressive. It was only trying to feed the people who loved it. And the table, at last, is set. Jamaican Oxtail Stew with butter beans. A dish older than the borders that were drawn around it. From Kingston, and from every hillside kitchen on the island of Zamaka, where the humblest part of the animal, the tail, is turned slow over a low fire into the most beloved pot a Jamaican kitchen knows. Oxtail asks for one thing above all others: time. This is not a cut you can rush. It is mostly bone and sinew and the tough working muscle of the tail. 15 minutes of high heat gives you nothing but effort, but 3 hours of low heat, and the same tail surrenders. The collagen melts into the gravy. The meat slides from the bone. The grandmothers will tell you the pot is ready when it stops needing you and needs only the fire. Servings 4. 20 minutes of preparation. 3 hours of cooking. Total time 3 hours and 20 minutes. 3 pounds of oxtail. 1 tablespoon of browning. 1 teaspoon of pimento. The allspice. 1 tablespoon of ginger. 4 sprigs of fresh thyme. 1 whole Scotch bonnet pepper. 4 stalks of scallion. 1 whole onion. 4 cloves of garlic. 15 ounces of butter beans. 4 cups of water. And half a teaspoon of salt. Begin with 3 pounds of oxtail. Trim away the heavy fat, the pale, waxy edges that will never render soft. Leave what marbles through the meat. That is flavor. The rest is only grease. This is the quiet, unglamorous work. No heat yet. No sound but the knife. Just a cook and a humble cut, and the patience to prepare it well. Now the seasoning. 1 tablespoon of browning, rubbed dark into every piece. Then 1 teaspoon of ground pimento, 1 tablespoon of ginger, 1 whole onion, and 4 cloves of garlic. Work it in with your hands, under the skin, into the seams around the bone. Then let the oxtail rest and take the spice inward. In a Jamaican kitchen, seasoning is never sprinkled on top. It is pressed in. Heat a heavy Dutch oven until it is hot enough to hiss. Lay the oxtail in. Do not crowd it. Let each piece brown on every side for 8 minutes, turning only when it lets go of the pan on its own. This is where browning earns its name. The sugar in it darkens. The meat takes on a deep mahogany crust, and the whole kitchen begins to smell of it. Do not chase the color with higher heat. Chase it with patience. Burnt is bitter, but browned is the foundation of the entire pot. Now, the water. 4 cups poured slow around the meat, 4 sprigs of thyme, and 1 whole Scotch bonnet pepper, left whole, never split, kept whole. The pepper gives only its perfume, its fruit, its warmth. Pierce it, and it gives fire instead. Bring it up to the gentlest simmer. Then cover the pot, lower the flame, and leave it for 2.5 hours. This is the part no one can sell you, the waiting. For 2.5 hours, almost nothing seems to happen. But under the lid, everything is happening. The tough sinew loosens, the collagen dissolves, the tail gives its body up to the water, and the water thickens into something darker and rounder and deeper than a broth. You do not stir it often. You do not lift the lid to look. You trust the low fire, the way this island always has. When the meat has nearly left the bone, add the beans, 15 ounces of butter beans, and 4 stalks of scallion, cut long. Then lift the lid away. For 30 more minutes, uncovered, the gravy draws down and pulls close. The beans turn soft and creamy and thicken the sauce from the inside. No flour, no shortcut. Only the tail and the beans and the fire doing the work. History and cultural origins. Oxtail was never meant to be a prize. On the sugar estates of colonial Jamaica, the fine cuts went up to the great house. What was left behind, the tail, the tripe, the feet, was given to the enslaved. And in those kitchens, something extraordinary happened. The cast-off cut, cooked long enough, and with enough care, became finer than the roast it was taken from. Hardship became a cuisine. That is the whole story of this island's food. The pepper in this pot is older than all of it. Pimento, what the world calls allspice, is native to this island and to almost nowhere else. It grew here long before the ships came. On the land the first people called Zemaka, the land of wood and water. They were the Taino, and Arawak people. They smoked and seasoned their meat with this same berry 1,000 years before it ever seasoned an oxtail. The flavor of Jamaica begins with them. Then came the crossing. The people brought in chains from West Africa carried almost nothing, but they carried knowledge. The one-pot braise, the slow stew, the art of turning a tough, cheap-cut tender over a long, low fire. That knowledge met this island's pepper and thyme and became brown stew oxtail. And when Jamaicans later crossed other waters, to London, to New York, to Toronto, the pot went with them. Wherever it simmers, a piece of home simmers too. Today, oxtail is Sunday. It is the pot that says a day matters. Cooked for family, for gatherings, for anyone worth 3 hours at the stove. Served over rice and peas, the dark gravy soaking down into the grains. Ask anyone of the diaspora what tastes like home, and many will name this. Not the expensive thing, the patient thing, the cut that nobody wanted, loved all the way into the center of the table. At the end, lift the lid. The gravy has gone dark and glossy. The meat falls at the touch of a spoon. Ladle it over rice and peas, and let it rest one moment before you carry it in. Steam rising, the whole room already knowing what it is. Jamaican Oxtail Stew is the rarest kind of recipe, one that has survived slavery and hunger and every attempt to call it poor food. It survives because it was never trying to be impressive. It was only trying to feed the people who loved it. And the table, at last, is set. Trinidadian Curry Goat. K-U-H-R-E-G-O-H-T. A dish older than the nation that carries its name. From the island of Trinidad, which its first people called Iyere, the land of the hummingbird, where bone-in goat is turned slow through dark toasted curry and simmered into an amber gravy no restaurant can hurry. This is the pot a Trinidadian celebration cannot begin without. Curry Goat asks for two things: a good hand and time. You cannot rush a tough, bony cut into tenderness, and you cannot fake the base, the green seasoning, blended fresh and worked into the meat hours before the fire. The old cooks will tell you the curry must be cooked down until it is almost too dark, that its whole flavor lives one moment before burning. And they will tell you the pot is best when many hands have seasoned it and no one is in a hurry to eat. Servings: 6. 25 minutes of preparation, 2 hours and 10 minutes of cooking. Total time: 2 hours and 35 minutes. 3.5 pounds of bone-in goat, half a cup of Shaden Benny, the cilantro, 8 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of lime juice, 1/4 cup of fresh thyme, 2 pimento peppers, pimento, the sweet seasoning pepper, 1 ounce of ginger, 2 teaspoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of Trinidadian curry powder, 1 tablespoon of Amchar masala, 1 tablespoon of ground roasted cumin, the gira, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and 4 cups of water. Begin with the green seasoning. Into the blender, half a cup of Shaden Benny, 8 cloves of garlic, 1/4 cup of thyme pulled from the stem, 2 pimento peppers, 1 ounce of ginger, and 2 tablespoons of lime. Blend it down to a rough green paste. This is the soul of Trinidad cooking, the base beneath 1,000 pots, never bought in a jar, made fresh, the way a grandmother's kitchen always smells of it. Now the goat, 3.5 pounds on the bone. Pour the green seasoning over every piece, 2 teaspoons of salt, and then your hands. Work the paste into the meat, around the bone, into every fold and seam. Then cover it and let it rest, an hour or overnight if you can wait. In a Trinidadian kitchen, meat is never simply cooked. It is seasoned first and given the time to take it in. Now, the most important minute of all. 3 tablespoons of oil in a heavy pot over a medium flame. Then 3 tablespoons of Trinidadian curry powder sprinkled straight into the oil. Let it toast. Let it darken. From gold to bronze to a deep amber that almost frightens you. The Trinis call this cooking down the curry. The whole character of the dish is decided right here. Do not rush it with higher heat, and do not walk away. 1 moment past amber is burnt. and burnt turns bitter. But amber is everything. Now lay the goat into the dark curry, every seasoned piece pressed down into the amber oil, and then you stir, slow and steady, for 10 full minutes. Listen. First, the wet sound of the juices leaving the meat, then a hush as the water cooks away, then, at last, a low sizzle returning as the goat begins to catch the curry, and the curry begins to catch the goat. This is the sound of a Trinidad Sunday beginning. Then the water, 4 cups poured slow around the meat. Bring it up to a boil just once, then cover the pot, drop the flame low, and leave it for 90 minutes. Under the lid, the bone begins to give. The gravy takes on color and body. You do not lift the cover to look. You do not stir it every minute. You let the low fire do the work only the low fire can. When the goat has grown tender, lift the lid away. Stir in 1 tablespoon of amchar masala and 1 tablespoon of roasted gira. Then let it simmer, uncovered, for 30 minutes more. Now the gravy draws down and pulls close. It thickens on its own, not with any flour, but with the gelatin the bones have quietly given up. It turns glossy and clings to every piece, and the whole kitchen goes deep and golden with the smell. History and cultural origins. Curry did not begin on this island. It crossed an ocean to reach it. When slavery ended on the sugar estates, the plantations still hungered for labor. And so, beginning in the year 1845, ships came from India, carrying tens of thousands of indentured workers to Trinidad. They arrived with almost nothing, but in their memory, they carried the curry, the cumin, the masala, and the slow, patient craft of cooking goat upon the bone. But the green heart of this pot belongs to no ship. Chadon Beni, Chadon Beni, grows wild in Trinidad soil. Its name is French Creole, the blessed thistle, for the ragged, holy look of its leaf. The Indian workers came to know it too by a name in their own tongue, and long before any of them, the first peoples gathered this same herb from the forest floor, the arawak, the kalinago, the people who called this island Iere, one leaf holding 3 worlds within it. And so the dish became something new. Indian curry met a Caribbean island. Its wild green herb its fierce sun, its African and Creole kitchens already deep in the art of slow-cooked meat. The curry powder was toasted darker than it ever had been in India. The green seasoning went in, and curry goat became unmistakably Trinidadian. Goat itself became the meat of gathering, for it broke no faith. Hindu, Muslim, and Christian could all share the one pot. And so the one pot came to feed them all. Today, curry goat is celebration itself. It is the pot at the center of a Hindu wedding and a Muslim Eid. It simmers at Diwali, at christenings, at any gathering large enough to matter. Often it is cooked outdoors in a great iron pot by a cook trusted with the whole crowd's meal. Served with dal puri roti, dal puri, or over a mound of rice. It is how Trinidad says, "You are welcome here, and there is more than enough." Ask the diaspora what tastes of home, and so many will name this. At the last, lift the lid. The gravy has gone thick and glossy, the deep amber of the toasted curry. The goat falls from the bone at the push of a spoon. Ladle it over rice, or fold it into warm roti, and carry it to a table that has been waiting and talking and hungry for hours. Trinidadian curry goat is the rarest kind of recipe, one that survived an ocean crossing and indenture, and the long forgetting of the people who first carried it. It survives because it was never trying to impress anyone. It was only trying to feed a whole island at once. And the table, at last, is set. Doubles, the breakfast of an island, sold from a tray on the roadside before the morning is fully awake. From Trinidad, Trin-I-Dad, 2 soft fry breads called bara, folded around a spoonful of curried chickpea, the humblest food the island makes, and the one it cannot live without. They will tell you it is simple. 2 breads, some chickpeas, a little pepper, but simple things carry the most memory. This is the food of the indentured, the laborers who crossed an ocean from the villages of North India and folded home into a bread they could sell for pennies. Nothing wasted, everything shared, a whole people's history held in one hand. 4 servings, 15 minutes of preparation, 1 hour of cooking. Total time, 1 hour and 15 minutes. 1 cup of dried chickpeas, the chana, 2 tablespoons of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, the gira, half a teaspoon of turmeric, half of 1 Scotch bonnet pepper, 4 cloves of garlic, 1 whole onion, 1 tablespoon of tamarind, and 1 tablespoon of oil. It begins the night before. The dried chickpeas go into a bowl of water, and they wait. Through the evening, through the dark, they drink and swell and soften. By morning, they have nearly doubled themselves. Drain them and let the water run clear. This is the only patience the dish will ask of you, and it asks it while you sleep. Now the pot, a little oil, warmed until it shimmers. The onion, chopped fine, goes in first. Then the garlic, 4 cloves, crushed beneath the flat of a blade. Let them soften together, slowly, until the sharp edges fall away and the kitchen turns sweet and low. Do not rush the onion. It is building the floor of everything to come. Then comes the moment the island calls the bloom. The curry powder, 2 tablespoons, goes into the hot oil. The cumin, the turmeric, and for a single minute you stir. The spices darken, they toast, they open. The air fills with something that cannot be poured from a jar, only made in a hot pan. This is where the doubles finds its soul. 1 minute, no longer, only until it is fragrant. Now the chickpeas return. They tumble into the spice, each one catching the gold. Half a Scotch bonnet, left whole and unbroken, for warmth without fire. A spoon of tamarind, and then the water, 4 cups, poured slow until the pot goes deep and quiet. Listen. The simmer begins as a whisper. Cover the pot. Lower the flame until it barely breathes. And now, you leave it. For 1 hour, the chana softens in its own curry, the sauce thickening, the chickpeas surrendering, some breaking open to cloud the liquid gold. An hour is not long for a dish that waited a century to reach you. When it is ready, the chana is soft enough to crush with the back of a spoon. The sauce clings. It no longer runs. In Trinidad, this is spooned warm onto the bara. 2 of them, always 2. That is the whole secret of the name. You do not ask for one, you ask for doubles. To understand doubles, you must go back to 1845. A ship reaches Trinidad carrying laborers from the Bhojpuri villages of northern India, bound to the sugar estates after the end of slavery. They brought almost nothing, a few spices, away with the chickpea and the memory of a fried bread from home. The bread was born of the North Indian kitchen, a spiced fried dough. In Trinidad it kept its old name, bara. The chickpea kept its name too, chana. And the cumin they toasted, gira. The grandmothers held that the gira must be roasted only until it begins to smoke, never a moment longer, for that is where the flavor hides. For a long time, the chana and the bara were sold apart. Then, in the 1930s, in the small towns of southern Trinidad, a roadside vendor pressed the curried chickpea between two breads and sold it warm from a tray. Customers wanted more of the bread. Make it double, they would say, and the name held to the dish forever. Today, doubles belongs to everyone. It is the first thing eaten at dawn and the last thing bought at midnight. Sold on the corners from Port of Spain to San Fernando, wrapped in brown paper, slight pepper, or plenty. A food born of the indentured, now the shared breakfast of a whole nation. Cheap, humble, and loved beyond measure. So this is doubles. Not grand, not rich. A spoonful of curried chickpea, the gira still warm, folded into soft fried bread and eaten with the hands, the way the best things always are. It asks for nothing but a little patience and gives back the memory of an ocean crossed and a home remade on a small, bright island. Two breads, one island, and everything held between them. And the table, at last, is set. Griot. In Haiti, they call it griot. The pride of the table, chunks of pork bathed in sour orange, slow cooked until they surrender, then crisped at the edges until they crackle. From Port-au-Prince, the dish a celebration cannot do without. Every island has a dish it saves for joy. In Haiti, this is that dish. Griot is Sunday. Griot is the festival, the baptism, the homecoming. It is not weekday food. It is the smell that tells a whole street that someone, somewhere, has something to celebrate. Pork, citrus, fire, and patience. 4 servings, 15 minutes to prepare, 1 hour and 45 minutes to cook, 2.5 pounds of pork shoulder, 1/4 cup of epis, the green soul of every Haitian kitchen, 1/2 cup of sour orange juice, 1/4 cup of lime juice, 4 cloves of garlic and 1 shallot, 1/2 a Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh thyme, and 4 whole cloves, a little salt, and a spoon of oil. It begins with the marinade. The sour orange and the lime poured into a bowl. The epis stirred in, the garlic, the shallot, and 1/2 a Scotch bonnet for warmth. This is the bath the pork will rest in. Sharp, green, alive with citrus. In Haiti, no meat meets the heat before it has met the epis first. Now the pork, 2.5 pounds of shoulder, cut into generous pieces, tumbled through the citrus until every side is coated. Tuck in the sprigs of thyme and the whole cloves. Let it rest and let the orange begin its slow work, loosening the meat, carrying the seasoning deep into the grain. Into the dish it goes, the pork, and all of its fragrant liquid. Cover it tightly with foil, sealing in the steam, and into a slow oven, 350 degrees, for 90 minutes. Beneath the foil, the citrus and the pork trade places. The meat softens, the braise deepens, and the whole kitchen begins to smell of orange and clove and thyme. Then the foil comes away. The heat rises, 400 degrees now, and the pork, so tender, begins to change. The edges catch, they brown, they crisp. Listen for the first faint crackle as the fat turns to gold. This is the moment griot becomes griot, soft within and crackling without. And beside it, always, the Pikliz. Pikliz. Cabbage and carrot and Scotch bonnet, pickled sharp in lime and vinegar, waiting cold in a jar. Fiery, bright. It is not a garnish. It is the answer to the richness, the cool, clean heat that makes you reach for one more piece. When the edges are crisp and dark gold, scatter the parsley over the top. This is griot, served with the pikliz, with rice and red beans, or with fried plantain, pressed flat and golden, eaten with the hands and with the fingers, and with great, unhurried joy. To understand griot, you must understand Haiti. In 1804, the enslaved people of this island did what no others had done. They won their freedom by their own hand and founded the first free black republic in the world. Every dish that came after carries a little of that defiance. Griot, most of all. The flavors are a map of who came here. The pork and the patience, West African. The citrus marinade, born of the Caribbean's own sour orange. And the epis, peas, a green paste of herbs and peppers, is the base of nearly every Haitian pot. The grandmothers hold that a kitchen with no épices in the cold box is not yet truly a kitchen. And the name itself carries a memory. In West Africa, a griot, was a keeper of stories, a singer of a people's whole history from memory alone. Some say the dish took the name because, like the storyteller, it holds the past of a people in a single mouthful. African, an island, and free. Today, griot is Haiti at the table. It is sold from roadside stands, wrapped in paper, piled high at every celebration, carried across oceans in the kitchens of Haitians far from home. Wherever there is a Haitian gathering, there is griot and Pikliz, and the sound of people who have not seen each other in far too long. So this is griot, pork and citrus and fire, a dish that asks for patience and gives back something a people carried through revolution and exile and homecoming and never once let go. Crisp at the edge, tender at the heart, and always, always served among people who love one another. Bring the pikliz, bring the rice, bring everyone, and the table at last is set. Escovitch, a dish older than the island's own name. From the north coast of Jamaica, from Ocho Rios, where the fishermen fry the morning's catch and drown it, still hissing, in hot spiced vinegar. A fish built to keep, a fish built to travel, a fish that carries 500 years of survival in a single sour golden bite. Every island learned to keep its food before there was ice. In Jamaica, this is how. The fish is fried until its skin is glass. Then it is bathed in a vinegar sharp enough to hold back time itself. The hurried cook eats it hot and calls it done. But the Jamaican grandmothers will tell you the truth, that escovitch is not truly ready until it is waited. A day, even. The vinegar needs time to walk all the way to the bone. 4 servings, 15 minutes to prepare, and 15 minutes over the fire, 30 minutes in all. 2 pounds of red snapper, half a cup of white vinegar, 1 onion and 1 carrot, 1 cho-cho, the pale green chayote, 1 bell pepper, and 1 whole Scotch bonnet, 4 cloves of garlic, and 4 sprigs of thyme, half a teaspoon of allspice, pimento, half a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of olive oil. It begins with the fish, a whole red snapper, its skin patted dry, rubbed on both sides with 4 cloves of crushed garlic, pressed with the leaves of fresh thyme, and touched with a little salt. Nothing more. In escovitch, the fish is kept plain and honest, because everything bright and loud and alive is still to come, waiting in the vinegar pot. Now, the oil. A tablespoon of olive oil, warmed in a wide skillet until it shimmers and thins. The snapper laid down gently, away from you, so the oil cannot leap. And then the sound every island kitchen knows, the long, low sizzle of a whole fish meeting a hot pan. Do not touch it. Do not move it. Let it be. Give it time. 2, perhaps 3 minutes on the first side, until the edge you can see turns the color of deep caramel. Only then does it turn. Once, to crisp the other side. The skin tightens, it blisters, it lifts away from the flesh in a thin golden shell. And when the fish is cooked through and crackling at every edge, lift it from the pan and lay it down to rest on a wide, waiting plate. While the fish rests, the escovitch itself begins. Into a small pot, the half cup of white vinegar, the onion in rings, the carrot in fine ribbons, the cho-cho, the bell pepper in strips, and the whole Scotch bonnet, left whole so it lends its perfume and not its fire. Then the allspice berries. Bring it slowly to a boil. Listen as the vinegar sharpens the air and the whole kitchen fills with something sweet and sour and alive. And now, the moment that makes it Escovitch. The hot vinegar and all of its vegetables poured at once over the waiting fish. Listen for the hiss, the sharp, glad sound of sour meeting crisp. Do not serve it yet. Let it steep. Let the sauce sink slowly into the fish, carrying the heat and the tang all the way through without ever softening that hard-won crackle. The finest cooks make it the day before. This is Escovitch. Set it out with bami. Bam-e, the round cassava flatbread this island has baked since long before the Spanish came. Or with rice and peas. Or with fried plantain, pressed flat and golden. It keeps for days and only grows better, which is why on Good Friday, half of Jamaica is eating exactly this. Cool, sharp, and wholly unhurried. To understand Escovitch, you follow the vinegar. The name's a Jamaican softening of a Spanish word, escabeche. Escabeche. It meant a fish fried, then steeped in hot spiced vinegar, so that it would keep for days in a hot land, long before anyone had ice. Escovitch was born, first of all, of that simple need to make the sea last. But escabeche is only a traveler's name for something far older. It reaches back through Moorish Spain, Al-Andalus, to an Arabic and Persian dish called sikbaj. Sikbaj, a sweet and sour vinegar stew from more than 1,000 years ago. That ancient idea, flesh kept in vinegar, crossed an ocean and met this island's own gifts. The fierce Scotch bonnet and pimento, allspice, native to this land alone, which the Taino, the Arawak, first gathered on the island they called Zaimaka, the land of wood and water. And the dish came to Jamaica, carried by exiles. When Spain expelled its Jews in the year 1492, many of the Sephardim sailed for the New World, and some made their home on this island. They brought escabeche with them, fish cooked on a Friday, pickled in vinegar, kept to be eaten cold on the Sabbath when no fire could be lit. What began as the food of a people in flight, slowly, quietly, became the food of everyone. Today, Escovitch is Jamaica at its ease. It is fried fish and bami on the hot sand at Hellshire. It is the plate that anchors Good Friday and Easter. It is the cool, keeping dish a mother can make on a Thursday and set down unbothered on Saturday. And wherever Jamaicans have carried themselves across the world, the smell of vinegar and pimento and frying fish still says, without a single word, home. So this is escovitch, a whole fish fried to glass and drowned in a bright, sharp vinegar that only makes it better with time. A dish that was never trying to impress anyone. It was only trying to make the sea last one more day for people who could not afford to waste it. 5 centuries, an ocean, an inquisition, and the slow, patient generosity of an island, all folded into one cool, golden, unhurried plate. Bring the bammy, bring the pepper, bring everyone down to the water, and the table, at last, is set. Pepperpot. P-E-P-E-R, pot. A dish older than the country of Guyana itself. From the rivers and the rainforest of the northern shoulder of South America, where the first peoples of this coast learned to take a poison root and coax from it a pot of meat that could stay alive for years. A stew as dark as the deep water. A stew that only grows richer the longer the night goes on. Long before there was ice in this land, there was cassaripe. Cassaripe. A thick black syrup, boiled slowly down from the juice of the cassava root. It is the one thing that makes a pepperpot a pepperpot. It is the thing that lets the pot survive. The hurried cook eats the stew the same evening and calls it done. But in Guyana, they will tell you the truth, that a true pepperpot is never really finished. It is only resting, waiting to be lit again tomorrow. 4 servings, 20 minutes to prepare, and 3 hours over a low fire. 3 hours and 20 minutes in all. 2.5 pounds of beef chuck, half a cup of cassaripe, 2 sticks of cinnamon, and 4 whole cloves. 1 whole wiri pepper, wiri, the little round cherry pepper of Guyana. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of olive oil. It begins with the beef. 2.5 pounds of chuck, cut slowly into chunks the size of a walnut, 2 inches across, no smaller. The pieces must stay big because they will cook for hours, and smaller ones would simply melt away. No searing, no hurry. In a true pepperpot, the beef goes into the pot raw and lets the dark syrup do all of the work. Now, the heart of the pot. Into a heavy iron pot, pour the half cup of cassaripe. It falls thick and black and slow, like molasses that has forgotten how to shine. Then the 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, the 2 sticks of cinnamon, the 4 whole cloves. Stir them together gently into something dark enough to lose a spoon in. Now the water, 3 cups, poured in slowly, loosening the black syrup until the whole pot turns to a deep, glassy brown. And then the one small thing that gives this stew its name, 1 whole weary pepper, weary, dropped in whole, never split, never seeded. Left whole, it lends only its perfume, a slow, round warmth, and holds its fire back. A broken pepper would burn the whole night down, so we let it float there, unbroken, patient. Now, the beef. Piece by piece, the chunks of chuck slip below the surface. No pan has seared them. They simply sink into the dark and disappear. Listen. There is almost no sound at all, only the soft give of the meat settling into the syrup, and the first slow breath of cinnamon and clove lifting off the pot. Bring it up gently to a boil, only until the surface begins to tremble and the first dark bubbles break. Then down to the lowest flame a stove will hold. Lay the lid on top, heavy and almost closed. From here, the pepper pot asks only one thing of you: time. Long, unhurried, quiet time. And so it simmers. 3 hours, barely moving. The pot breathing once, maybe twice, a minute. Slowly, the beef surrenders. Slowly, the liquid falls and thickens and darkens until it is no longer a broth at all, but an inky, glistening syrup that clings to every single piece. You will know that it is ready when a spoon drawn across the bottom leaves a path that stays. To understand Pepperpot, you follow the cassava. Cassava. Long before any ship arrived, the first peoples of this coast, the Amerindians, lived among the rivers of a land they knew as the place of many waters. They grew a root that could feed a whole village: bitter cassava, manioc, man-e-oc. But the root carried a secret. Raw, it was poison. And here's the quiet genius of it. The people learned to grate the poison root to press out its juice and to boil that juice down for hours over the fire. The heat carried the poison away, and what was left behind was kasarip. Ka-sa-reep. Dark and bittersweet and utterly safe. A poison turned by patience into a preserver. It was the Arawak, and the Carib, who first worked this slow alchemy and handed it down, pot by pot. And kasarip did something that felt almost like magic. It kept the meat. In a hot land with no ice, a pot sealed with kasarip could sit and be simmered again the next day and the next. Fresh meat dropped in at morning, the whole pot brought back to a boil at dusk. Some pepper pots, they say, were never allowed to die, kept alive for weeks, for months. A single pot carried through a whole generation, one fire at a time. And so Pepperpot became far more than a stew. It became the smell of Christmas morning all across Guyana. A pot set simmering before dawn, a whole house waking to cinnamon and clove. It crossed the ocean with the people who loved it, and it followed them wherever they went. To London, to Toronto, to New York. Wherever there is a Guyanese kitchen, there is a pot of Pepperpot quietly darkening at the back of the stove. So this is Pepperpot, beef sunk into a syrup as black as river water, spiced with clove and cinnamon, and one small whole pepper that never quite lets go. Lift the lid, and the steam that rises off it is centuries deep. It is the rarest kind of recipe, one that has survived poison and hunger and the long crossing of an ocean. It survives because it was never trying to impress anyone. It was only ever trying to keep a pot alive and a family fed through one more night. Cut the bread, wake the house, let it simmer one more day, and the table at last is set. Cou-Cou. Cou-Cou. The national dish of the island of Barbados. Barbados. Out at the far eastern edge of the Caribbean, where the sea gives way to the open Atlantic. It comes to the table as two things, side by side, a soft golden mound of cornmeal and okra, stirred by hand until it turns to silk, and beside it, the little silver fish that gave this island its name, flying fish, folded into a gentle tomato gravy, a whole ocean on a single plate. There is no rushing a cou-cou. It cannot be walked away from. The whole soul of the dish lives in one motion, a wooden stick, turning cornmeal through hot water, around and around, for a quarter of an hour, without ever stopping. Step away, and it stiffens into lumps. Stay with it, and it softens into something smooth enough to catch the light. The old cooks of Barbados will tell you a Cou-Cou knows whether you were patient. That you can taste in the very first spoonful exactly how much care was stirred into the pot. 4 servings, 20 minutes to prepare, and 30 minutes over the fire. 50 minutes in all. 1 cup of cornmeal, half a pound of okra, 2 ripe tomatoes, 1 onion, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 whole Scotch bonnet pepper, 1 lime, 1.5 pounds of flying fish, 4 sprigs of thyme, half a teaspoon of allspice, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. It begins quietly with the okra. Okra. Half a pound of it, sliced into thin green coins. Drop them into 3 cups of water and let them boil gently for 10 minutes until they soften and the water around them turns cloudy and green. Then strain them, but keep that green okra water, every last drop of it. That water is the secret of the whole dish. It is what will hold the Cou-Cou together. Now the cornmeal. In a heavy pot, stir 1 cup of cornmeal into 1 cup of cold water. Cold, so it stays smooth, so that not a single lump can form. Loosen it until it pours slow and easy. Then set the pot over a medium flame, and little by little, a ladle at a time, begin to pour in that hot green okra water, stirring, always stirring, as the cornmeal drinks it in and slowly begins to swell. And now, the work that gives the dish its name. Take up the Cou-Cou stick, a flat wooden paddle worn smooth by years of turning, and stir, not gently now, but firmly, steadily, around the pot and across its floor. For 15 full minutes, you do not stop. You fold the cooked okra back in as you go. The cornmeal thickens and thickens, growing heavier against the stick until it begins to pull away clean from the sides of the pot. When it is smooth as silk and glossy and heavy, and a stick drawn through the center leaves a path that closes slowly behind it, the Cou-Cou is done. Cover it. Keep it warm. Now, to the fish. But first, the bed it will lie in. A little olive oil warming in a wide pan. Into it, 1 onion, finely sliced, and that first soft hiss as it meets the heat. Then 3 cloves of garlic, 2 ripe tomatoes cut open, slipping down into softness, 4 sprigs of thyme, and half a teaspoon of allspice, its warm, dark scent rising all at once. Last of all, 1 whole Scotch bonnet pepper, left whole, never split, dropped in for its perfume alone, a slow, round warmth, and never for its fire. Now the flying fish, 1.5 pounds of it, small boned fillets, silver and delicate, laid down gently into the simmering tomato. Over the top, the juice of 1 lime, bright and sharp and clean. Lay a lid on the pan and let it be. Just 10 minutes over a low flame, long enough for the fish to turn tender and to take the tomato and the thyme all the way into itself. No stirring, no turning, only the softest simmer. And now you bring them together. A spoonful of the hot Cou-Cou turned out onto the plate in a smooth, golden dome. Some cooks wet the spoon or shape it in a small, round bowl so it lands glossy and whole. And over it, or gently beside it, the flying fish and a ladle of that deep red gravy running slowly down the golden slope. That is the whole of it, the land and the sea, on 1 plate, for 4. To understand this plate, you follow the cornmeal home, back across the Atlantic to West Africa, for the Cou-Cou is African. It came to Barbados in the holds of the slave ships, carried in the memory of the people who were stolen along with it. In the villages they came from, cooks had long stirred grain and water and okra, into a soft, smooth mound, turned patiently with a wooden stick. From whatever the land gave, millet sometimes guinea corn, a dish of comfort, a dish of home. That memory survived the crossing, even when almost nothing else was allowed to. Even the name still remembers. Across the Caribbean, this one dish answers to many names. In the Windward Islands, they call it Cou-Cou. In the Leeward Islands and in Dominica, it is fungi, and in Ghana, where its closest cousin still simmers to this day, a smooth mound of corn eaten with okra and fish is known as banku, a beloved dish of the Ga people, Ga, of the city of Accra. One recipe, a dozen names, scattered across an ocean by force, and kept alive in every one of them by love. And then the sea added something all its own. For the fish beside the Cou-Cou is not African at all. It belongs entirely to this island. The flying fish, a small silver thing that leaps clear of the water and glides on wing-like fins the length of a cricket pitch before slipping back beneath. They ran through the warm Barbadian waters in their thousands, and the island came to know them completely. For 400 years, the Bajan fishermen, Bajan, perfected the art of catching them, and the delicate skill of boning them, a skill found almost nowhere else on earth. So wholly did they belong here, that Barbados itself became known as the land of the flying fish. And so the two became one. The African mound of cornmeal and the silver fish of the Bajan Sea, set side by side until no one could picture them apart. Today, Cou-Cou and flying fish is the national dish of Barbados, and the little flying fish became a national emblem all its own, carried on the island's coins, and in the very name the world gave these waters. Wherever a Bajan kitchen has traveled, to London, to Toronto, to New York, a pot of Cou-Cou is still stirred by hand with a wooden stick, and for a moment, the whole island is in the room. So this is Cou-Cou and flying fish. Cou-Cou. A golden dome of cornmeal and okra, stirred smooth by a patient hand. A little silver fish, steamed soft in a gravy of tomato and thyme, and one whole, quiet pepper. Lift a single forkful, and you are tasting two shores of the same ocean at once. It is the rarest kind of recipe, one that survived the crossing and the long centuries, and every attempt to make it be forgotten. It survives because it was never trying to impress anyone. It was only ever trying to feed the people who loved it, and to remind them at every meal of exactly who they are and how far they have come. Turn out the Cou-Cou, spoon the fish beside it, call the family in, and the table, at last, is set. Mofongo, a dish older than the island's own name. From Puerto Rico, where the green plantain is fried soft, then pounded by hand in a heavy wooden mortar. The pilon, garlic, golden olive oil, crackling pork, all of it crushed together until it packs into a single warm dome. It carries 3 worlds inside it: Africa in the pounding, the taino in the plantain and the stone, and Spain in the sizzling oil. A whole history you can hold in one hand. Mofongo cannot be hurried, and it cannot be kept. It must be pounded hot and eaten while it is still warm from the pilon. Let it sit too long and it turns heavy and tight. This is why it belongs to the home and to the hand. No machine can truly make it. A blender gives you paste, smooth and lifeless, but the wooden pestle leaves the plantain in soft, uneven pieces, some yielding, some still with a little bite. The grandmothers on the island will tell you that you do not measure mofongo. You listen to it. You pound until the sound turns from a wet slap to a soft, hollow thud. And then you know it is ready. 6 servings, 20 minutes to prepare, and 20 minutes over the oil. 40 minutes in all. 6 green plantains, 6 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of pork rinds, the chicharron, half a cup of olive oil, and 3 cups of oil for the frying. We begin with the plantains. Green, firm, picked long before they ever turn sweet. Their skins are tight and cling hard to the fruit. So we score each one down its length and lift the peel away in thick green ribbons. Then, one by one, we cut them into rounds, about 1 inch thick. 6 plantains in all, a small, quiet heap of pale green coins waiting by the stove. Into a deep pan, 3 cups of oil. We warm it slowly over a medium flame until it reaches 350 degrees. Not smoking, not roaring, just a gentle, steady heat, the kind that shimmers and waits. Lower in a single piece, and it should barely whisper. A soft ring of little bubbles rising slow and easy all around the edge. Now the plantains go in small batches, never crowded, so the oil stays calm and warm. They fry gently for 10 to 12 minutes. And here's the patience of it. We do not want them brown. We do not want them crisp. Only cooked through and soft and pale gold, like late afternoon light. Turn them once. Let them cook until a fork slips through without a sound. Then lift them out, one by one, and let them rest a moment. Still hot, still steaming, on a cloth beside the pilon. And now, the pilon. The heavy wooden mortar that lives at the heart of every kitchen on the island. Into its worn bowl, 6 cloves of garlic, and 1 teaspoon of salt. The salt is not only for taste. Each grain is a tiny stone that helps the garlic break down. We take up the pestle and we press and turn and press again. The garlic gives way slowly from sharp little pieces into a smooth, pale, fragrant paste. Take your time here. This is the quietest moment of all. Now we build it. A handful of the hot plantains into the pilon. A little of the pork rinds, the chicharron, and a slow thread of olive oil. Half a cup in all, added a little at a time. And then we pound, not to crush it smooth, but to fold it together. The plantain softens against the garlic. The pork crackles and melts into it. Add another handful and pound again, slow and steady, a soft, hollow thud, until it all comes together, warm and whole. When it holds together, it is ready to take its shape. We press the warm mixture down firmly into a small bowl, packing it tight so it remembers the round. 6 little mounds for 6 seats at the table. Then a plate laid over the top, and 1 gentle turn of the wrist, and the mofongo falls, whole, a smooth golden dome, crowned with garlic and gold. Serve it now, while it is still warm. To understand this dome of plantain, you have to cross an ocean back to West and Central Africa. For the heart of Mofongo is African. When people were stolen from those shores and carried to the Caribbean in chains, they brought almost nothing with them. But they carried their hands, and their hands remembered fufu. Fufu, a soft mound of starchy root, yam or cassava or plantain, boiled and then pounded in a tall wooden mortar until it turned smooth and yielding. A food of home, a food of comfort. That memory survived the crossing when so little else was allowed to. Even the name still remembers Africa. Mofongo, some say, comes down from the languages of the Congo, spoken across Angola, and the heart of Central Africa. A word for something soft and mashed and folded together by hand. But the island shaped it too. The plantain was fried in the Spanish way, in hot oil, and the deep wooden pilon, echoes the mortars of both Africa and the Taino, the first people of the island, who called their home Boriken. 3 worlds, 1 bowl. For a long time, this was humble food. Plantains were cheap and filling. They grew almost everywhere, and they fed almost everyone. The poor, the enslaved, the working hands of the countryside. A dish born of what little there was. But over the generations, something quiet happened. The island began to see itself in the bowl. What was once the food of scarcity slowly became the food of belonging. Puerto Ricans carried mofongo with them into the cities and across the water to the mainland. And everywhere they went, the pilon went too. Today, mofongo is one of the proudest dishes of Puerto Rico. You will find it everywhere, in grand restaurants, hollowed out and filled with garlic shrimp or slow stewed meat, and in the little roadside kitchens, the kioscos, where the sound of the pilon never truly stops. But ask anyone from the island where the best mofongo is found, and they will not name a restaurant. They will tell you it is the one made at home, by a mother, by a grandmother, in a pilon worn smooth by 3 generations of the same patient hands. So this is mofongo. Mo-fong-go. A dome of green plantain, fried soft and pounded warm, with garlic and golden oil and the crackle of chicharron. Chicharron. Turn it out onto the plate, still holding the shape of the pilon. Lift a single forkful, and you are tasting 3 worlds at once. The African hands that pounded it, the Taino, plantain and mortar, and the Spanish oil that made it gold. It is the rarest kind of recipe, one that survived the crossing and the chains and the long centuries of being called humble. It survives because it was never trying to impress anyone. It was only ever trying to feed the people who loved it, and to remind them at every meal of exactly who they are and how far they have come. Press the last dome from the bowl. Set it gently on the plate. Call the family in, and the table at last is set. Jamaican Sweet Potato Pudding. A dish older than the island's own kitchens. From Jamaica, the Taino, name for Jamaica, the land of wood and water, where the sweet potato was grown and grated and sweetened long before there was a stove to bake it on. Every Jamaican Sunday has a pudding somewhere in the oven. This is the one that takes the longest and asks for the least. No mixer, no shortcut, only a box grater and time. The grandmothers will tell you a potato pudding cannot be hurried. You bake it low, you let it alone, and you do not open the door to look. The pudding is not impatient, neither are you tonight. servings, 6. 20 minutes of preparation. 1 hour and 5 minutes in the oven. Total time, 1 hour and 25 minutes. 3 pounds of sweet potato. 2 1/4 cups of coconut milk. 3/4 cup of brown sugar. 3/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. 3/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. And 3/8 cup of raisins. Begin with a warm oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Let it come up slowly while you work. Take a square baking dish, 8 inches across, and grease it lightly, corner to corner, so the pudding will lift away clean when it is done. That is all the oven asks of you for now. The long work is done by hand. Now the grating. 3 pounds of sweet potato, peeled and taken to the fine side of the box grater. This is the slow heart of the dish. Not chopped, not blended, grated until it turns to a soft, wet mash, pale gold and fragrant. The fine grating is what binds the pudding. No flour, no egg, only the starch the potato gives up when you take your time with it. In a wide bowl, the wet, 2 1/4 cups of coconut milk, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, whisked until it dissolves and the sugar disappears. Then the spice, 3/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, the same of cinnamon, 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. Whisk it slow until the kitchen begins to smell like the pudding it is going to be. Now bring the two together, the grated potato into the spiced coconut milk. Fold it. Do not beat it. Turn it over and over, slow from the bottom. Add the raisins, 3/8 cup, scattered through as you fold. Let every strand of potato take on the color of the spice. The batter will be loose, dark, speckled. It is meant to be. Pour it into the greased dish and smooth the top with the back of the spoon. Here is the old kindness. A few spoonfuls of coconut milk held back and poured gently over the surface to set into a soft top as it bakes. Then into the oven, 350 degrees, 65 minutes. Bake it low and long until the pudding sets and the top turns a dark, glowing gold. And then you wait. Let it cool all the way down on the counter untouched. This is the hardest part, and the most important. Warm, the pudding is soft and loose. But as it cools, the starch draws together, and the whole thing firms into something you can lift in a clean, dense slice. Do not rush it. The pudding is still becoming itself. The root came first, long before the recipe. The sweet potato, batata, was already growing in these islands when the first taino farmers pressed it into the warm Caribbean soil. It asked for little, poor ground, little water. It fed families through drought and through storm, and it would, in time, feed people who had nothing else at all. A humble root for humble ground. The name is the oldest thing on the table. Batata, a word from the Taino of the Arawak family, the first people of the Greater Antilles. When Spanish ships carried the root back across the ocean, they carried the word with it. Batata became patata, and patata became potato. Half the world now says a Taino word at dinner and never knows it. Then the pudding itself arrived from another shore. Enslaved West Africans brought to these islands were given the poorest land to feed themselves, the provision grounds, and there they grew the batata and the yam beside it. They carried a way of cooking too, dokunu, from the akan word for a sweet thing wrapped in a leaf, grated root, coconut, sugar, spice. The African pudding met the island's root, and the potato pudding was born. For generations it was baked in the duchy, the heavy iron pot set over coals, with more hot coals piled on the flat iron lid. Fire below, fire above. The old cooks had a name for it. Hella top, hella bottom, and hallelujah in the middle. Today it is Sunday dinner and Christmas, and the smell that means home to every Jamaican far from the island. The oven is new, the pudding is not. Cut it cool into dark, dense squares. The soft top gives first, then the firm, spiced middle, sweet with coconut and nutmeg, and the small burst of a raisin. No plate needs anything more than this. Jamaican sweet potato pudding is the rarest kind of recipe, one that has survived slavery and hunger and every reason it was ever given to be forgotten. It survives because it was never trying to be impressive. It was only trying to feed the people who loved it. And the table, at last, is set.